If your wife asks you for a divorce or a separation, chances are you did not place healthy boundaries in your relationship. In this video, we're going to discuss what that means, where does it stem from, and what you can do moving forward. So, you're probably familiar with the book called No More Mr. Nice Guy, and this is actually pretty prevalent in guys. There's a lot of people pleasing, validation seeking, pulling on their woman for validation, wanting to get attention. And so this concept of setting healthy boundaries, of learning how to say no, being stern, it's a concept that most guys don't know how to perform or how to do. And the reason why is because they're afraid to say no to their wives because they're afraid that their wife might not love them. And again, this comes back all the way back to childhood, to a childhood wound of maybe feeling not enough, not being chosen by your parents, whether it was your mother or your father. So then you repeat this pattern in other intimate relationships. So it's difficult for a lot of guys to say no because they believe, well, if I tell her no, then she's going to get upset. And if she gets upset, then she's going to be angry at me. And if she's angry at me, then that she's not going to choose me. If she doesn't choose me, she doesn't want me. And if she doesn't want me, then I'm not good enough to have her. You see all that whole mental pattern that plays out in guys' mind? But the truth is that a woman wants the man to lead. The woman wants the man to be assertive, to take action, to say, no, this is the way. Not being a dictator or a tyrant, but just being firm in his position. And the more firm the man is, the more the woman can surrender and soften around him. Because what she wants is someone she can follow. And remember, like, this is the same concept of leadership. Like, a leader is someone that people follow. But if people see a weak leader, if people see a leader that always says yes, if people see a leader that it's not powerful, doesn't take action, then they're not going to respect him. So it's the same concept. You bring that same concept to the house. And so the concept of setting healthy boundaries is a very fine dance. I'll call it that. It is a dance between, being open, listening to your wife's needs or your ex-wife's needs, and then also asserting your boundaries for yourself. So it all comes down to, it's not what you say, how you say it type of thing as well. Because if you're like, no, I'm not going to do that, then it spikes another fear, which is the fear. So first of all, there's the fear of, can this guy lead me? But then the second fear is, look how emotionally unhinged he is, that for this one thing, he has a spike of emotions. And you guys got to remember that you are way bigger than your woman. You're stronger than your woman. You can physically hurt your woman if you wanted to, just from a biological perspective. I'm not saying you do, but just from a biological perspective, you can do that. So when you have that spike of emotions, of rage, of anger, her body interprets it as a threat. So she tenses up. It's a threat. So not only is she not respecting you because you don't know how to set the healthy boundary, but also now she sees you as an actual little physical threat. So again, less trust and less trust and less trust. So I can't trust this guy to make a decision. I can't trust this guy to be emotionally regulated. I can't trust this guy to learn how to say no, because if he doesn't know how to say no with me, how is he going to learn how to say no in the business world? You see this? And so that's the thing. Like, setting healthy boundaries is really a very important part of a relationship. But it all goes back to learning how to love yourself, because if you love yourself for who you are and you know what you want and you know where you're going, saying no to someone is actually a healthy thing, because it makes you not betray yourself. It makes you be coherent with yourself. And from that place where you're coherent with yourself, where you're honest with yourself, then the other person can choose whether or not they want to be with you. I mean, ultimately it's their choice. But you're not sacrificing yourself, because what happens is, and that used to happen to me, it's like, okay, honey, well, whatever you want. But it wasn't, deep down inside, I just didn't know how to set the boundary. So every time it was whatever you want, like it was a built up resentment, until then you would explode because you felt betrayed, you felt like you were giving too much and it wasn't reciprocated. So then when you explore it again, this whole concept of like, oh, I'm scared of him, he can't handle his emotions, he doesn't know how to say no, he can't take charge. And what's interesting is a lot of these guys are killers in the business world. I mean, they get cut $1 million deals, but when it comes to being home with their woman, they just kind of fall apart. And whether you're starting the process of divorce or in the middle of a divorce or post-divorce, this is important for you to understand what happened and why did it happen, so that you don't repeat the cycle. Because at the core of this, as cheesy as it sounds, is self-love. Because when you love yourself enough to learn how to say no, then you're gonna be with people who respect that. And if your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend doesn't respect that, then that person wasn't for you. It doesn't matter if you have kids, it doesn't matter whatever you build together. At the core is the concept of self-love, and that's what we teach here in Divorce to Dominance. So if you're interested in working with us and the team and join the Brotherhood, go ahead and click in the description below, and I'll take you guys out on the boat, and we'll have just a splendid time. So the setting healthy boundaries stems from knowing how to love yourself. And what's interesting is most of you guys might think you love yourself because maybe you buy yourself a nice car or nice shoes or whatever the case may be. But I'll have you perform this test. Can you sit still for 5 minutes without your phone, without talking to someone, without sending an email? Can you sit still for 5 minutes with yourself? And if you cannot do that, that's just an indication that you have to prove, you have to be something, you have to do something instead of be something. Because if you're just at being, again, this word presence, which we keep on using in this channel, if you're just being in the here and the now and you're grounded and you're not doing, then you're enough. You're enough by just being. You're being. Your state of being in the now is enough. You don't have to do, you don't have to perform. You don't have to say yes to win love. It sounds super cheesy, man, but these are the things that add up year over year over year over year over year over year. And until it pops and it collides. So learning how to set healthy boundaries stems from learning how to love yourself and learning how to say no. Healthy boundaries, learning how to say no. Learning how to say no goes from learning how to love yourself, because if you know how to say no, then you're not afraid of the other person's reaction. You are standing in your own truth, in your own power, in your own I amness, and at the end of the day, you are being in peace, in coherence. And that's what's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, it's not about your wife, or your ex-wife, or your children. It is always all about you. So that's what we do. We help men transform, whether you're going through the pit of divorce and your life is falling apart like mine did. The most important thing is for you to use this opportunity, like what I like to call God's wake-up call, for you to rise and transform, because the life you were living in the past got you here. Check out this bubble. So your old life is what got you here. This great book said, what got you here won't get you there. So if your life is falling apart, your family's falling apart, it's because you were a version of yourself that wasn't really doing the best he could, and he wasn't really stepping into his own full potential. And I know that sucks, and I know it's hard to hear. When I heard it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are you talking about? Look at where she lives. Look at everything I do for this person. We go on vacations. We go on date nights. This, that, the other. But I wasn't showing up as the husband my ex-wife needed. I wasn't showing up as the father my children needed. I really wasn't just showing up as a man, as a whole. I was just performing. But that's a conversation for a different video. But in today's video, just want to recap. Learning how to set boundaries is one of the most important things in any relationship. Setting boundaries is learning how to say no from a loving and compassionate place. And learning how to say no only comes when you have learned how to love yourself enough that you are okay not... You're independent of the opinion of others. You're independent of the reaction of others. If she gets upset, she gets upset. If they get angry, they get angry. You know who you are. You know where you stand. You know your truth. And you could be wrong at times in your truth, but at the very least, you stood up for what you thought and what you believed was true to you. So If you're interested in working with me, click the link in the description below. We'll set up a call, see if you're a good fit for the brotherhood. And when we talk about what got you to this point, how to transform you as a man so that you can live a dominant lifestyle, whether it is reconciling with your wife or moving forward. That's what Divorce of Dominance is. Okay? Well, thank you for watching this video. Until next time, take care now. Bye-bye then. And remember who you are.